We come to this place for magic.
We come
The
to
Last Will
AMC
Podcast.
theaters to laugh, to cry, to care, because we need that. All of us.
That indescribable feeling we get when the lights begin to dim and we go somewhere we've never been before. Not just entertained, but somehow reborn. Together.
Dazzling images on a huge silver screen. Sound that I can feel.
Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Our heroes feel like the best parts of us, and stories feel perfect and powerful. Because here, they are.
The Last Will Podcast.
We make movies better.
Podcast. Thank you for listening to the Last Will Podcast. I'm Matt Young. I'm a theater educator and a parent. And ever since I lost my father to cancer, I have been mildly obsessed with death. This is my last will and testament. Coldplay once said, "No, I don't want a battle from beginning to end. I don't want a cycle of recycled revenge. I don't want to follow death and all of his friends." Today's episode, well, it's all about death. Claire and I get together and we discuss death and all of his friends. I hope you enjoy. Get all your stuff ready, close? We just had some mic adjustment bits.
Are we rolling now?
We are rolling now.
It's like my first day here.
With the mic. I've never used the mic before.
Like, how does this thing work?
Yeah, no. It's all about positioning, Claire. It's all about positioning. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling like trying to make myself as comfortable as possible today, which is actually not unusual. It's not.
No, you always like to be comfortable. You got the comfy seat. You got the blanket.
Yeah.
You want to be able to lean back. I mean, the reason we got microphones on these gimmels or whatever you want to call them, these arms, is so that you can be comfortable. And because we're doing a podcast kind of about death, we want to be as comfortable as can be. And then today we decided that we're going to go with purpose.
Yeah.
And actually talk about death
Mm-hmm.
because, hey, folks, it's just Claire and I today.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Last Will Podcast. We're going to jump right in.
Yeah,
We have both been very big fans of the Netflix show, The Sandman.
Yeah.
Although the author of it is very problematic. Today we are going to separate the art from the artist because the story is important to us, feels connected to us. We have been entertained and moved by it, and I'm not downplaying any of the bad things that he is accused of doing.
No. I mean,
He should rot in hell for all of that stuff.
I mean, it's unfortunate. However, the art that he produced, I mean, I'm not really sure
I'm
involved he was in the show. He was mostly
the first season.
Yeah.
In the second season, I don't think so because of all of this crap that happened. I find it easy to associate the art with an artist when they have done bad things with some people, and I can't listen to their work or I can't read their stuff. And then others I've struggled with, and I don't want to downplay what they did or how awful they are. I mean, Harry Potter being one of them. Squaring that circle, it's so difficult for me. Look, I named my second kid after one of the characters.
last name only.
Yeah, but the author has said such horrible things and doubled down on it and seems very ignorant and how can they have such emotional understanding in their art and yet in real life be such a fuckwad? I don't get it.
I wonder though if in that case, you know, for me sometimes like when somebody makes a story, right? Like in the case of Harry Potter, and then obviously my all-time favorite, Lord of the Rings, these characters have become so alive to me. As far as like, I don't always associate the character with the author, you know?
Yeah.
Do you believe, can you, do you really think that like the characters live on despite the author? Cause I think like these characters, I'm like, wow, what would they think of what the author's saying right now?
No, I mean, I think that's a really interesting approach to it. I think it's valuable. The thing that I get caught up in is the victims, and I would never want any of the because I'm like celebrating the work of this piece of shit. That the victims feel that when people support them, people support the artists.
You're supporting their nastiness.
Yeah,
and
their
you're
actions, and you're belittling the effects that it has on the victim. And I certainly didn't say that articulately, but like that's the idea. Like that they feel like they're not being, the victim isn't being heard or honored or taken seriously when you continue to celebrate the work. That's my biggest hang up. But
that perspective is quite valuable because a lot of people will just turn the other way. They're like, oh, well, I love this show so much. I don't care what that actor did, or I don't care what that producer said, or, who's accusing who of what. Because they just don't want to be inconvenienced by that.
Right.
Like, oh, I don't want to stop watching my favorite show because, I mean, to be honest, like I didn't actually know any of the, about the scandal of the author of Sandman until I was almost done with the series.
Right.
And I finished the series and I watched the very last episode and I remember texting you and saying, like, unfortunately, it was very well done.
Right.
Like, which is sad.
But, like I haven't watched Braveheart in many, many years because, the creator is problematic. And I used to love that movie. And so I go one way with some pieces of art and other ways with other pieces of art. And it's I think also because it's in the context of the span of my lifetime, it's different because I think it's easier to forgive artists back in history who did shitty things,
They're dead now, so.
Well, yes, but it was a different time, and I don't know why I'm more forgiving than I am in the span of my lifetime. But again, like I've struggled. The things that this author is being accused of is really shitty. I know that Harry Potter author just says a lot of shitty things, and that is shitty. But yeah.
Well, and it's actually unfortunate because at the time that she was writing Harry Potter, she wasn't saying the shitty things that she's saying today.
No, and it would have been hard to believe that she could have come up with those things, again, with how well-rounded and sensitive those characters seem to be. Maybe, people disagree. Maybe they think that they're shitty characters too. I don't know. We wanted to look, the reason we're doing all of this, and I didn't think that this conversation would go this way, but I guess
neither.
But I don't want to ignore it, is because one of the things that stands out so much about the Sandman to us is the portrayal of death. And this podcast is about death. And so we wanted to talk about death.
We haven't done it.
No.
Not really. Not like a full
just dive into
death
to
episode.
Death. Yeah. So the first thing we said was like, let's do an episode about death and
what happens after you die.
Yeah, death and your friends.
Oh yeah, Death and All of His Friends. The Coldplay song, which is such a beautiful song.
Right. So this is so that I put that into the AI because we needed a description to start with. So this is what we got. Death and All His Friends is the title of a Coldplay song from their 2008 album Via La Vida. Or Death and All His Friends.
Viva La Vida.
I'm sorry, Viva La Vida. What did I say?
Via La Vida, which is
Viva La Vida.
Different.
No, totally different.
It's a different Latin word. You would have totally misled people if you were speaking Latin right now.
I know, except that
via means by way of, and viva means life.
Viva La Vida is the title. Those who know Coldplay probably wouldn't have been as confused with my dyslexia. It's not just the line about death. It's the phrase is used as a metaphor for the fear, conflict, and upheaval that surround death and for the people or forces, political, social, or personal, that come with it. which I thought was kind of an interesting, even though that's not what we were talking about, it's what they were talking about, which is kind of like what we were talking about.
Well, when I went to the bathroom or came back or something, I was like, Death and all of his friends. Because I've also been thinking about the Deathly Hallows and that whole story from Harry Potter. And then
the story of the Deathly Hallows.
the story, yeah, because I remember the phrase that in that story that was written about how the third brother meets death as an old friend.
Okay. Yeah.
And because he makes peace with death, which is ultimately what... Oh, should I even say this? Is this like a spoiler? If I should tell them like what happens in Harry Potter?
I believe
I can
at
say it.
this point...
If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't read all three Harry Potter,
Oh my God.
whoopsies. Sorry, 7 Harry Potter books.
Yeah, step
You
away
should
first.
just stop listening right now. Go read them and then start again.
Come back.
So anyway, Harry learns the story about the Deathly Hallows, and then when it's Harry's time to die, he ends up accepting his fate. So he doesn't fight it. He doesn't try to manipulate it. He doesn't try to trick death like Lord Voldemort does. Trying to cheat death
With his Horcruxes.
With the Horcruxes. Harry's like, if my death is what's going to save the world I love so much, then I'm going. Then I
Right.
accept this. And then because he greeted death as a friend, he didn't die. He went to a train station to meet with Dumbledore, and then Dumbledore talked to him in some white train station area, and then
King's Cross.
King's Cross. And then the conversation that kind of made no sense, and then all of a sudden Harry was alive in the woods again.
I saw there's some guy on TikTok who is like interprets certain parts of books in a way and movies. Like, I think I first saw him in TV shows, because I'm going to say, first time I saw him was like, he described the ending of Lost. And I was like, holy shit.
Good luck.
Like,
Which ending?
But I never had a problem with Lost. I have no problem saying that. You can judge me for whatever you want.
Oh my God, we should talk about that later, because I have so many questions.
Yeah. But this guy like broke it down. He broke down just like understood it so well. And then, I don't know, months later, he did this thing on Harry Potter, and he does a breakdown of how it should have went in order to kind of tell the story. And so he puts off, I think he cuts the whole King's Cross bullshit out, and he goes like to Ginny's perspective, and then Hermione's perspective, and he jumps to all of these character position perspectives, and then ends with Neville's perspective. And so you really do believe that Harry is dead, and then gets to Harry, but like he breaks it down in such a way that's so worth it.
You're gonna
will
have
find
to
out his name.
You're gonna have to share that on the Last Will Podcast Instagram page and
Yes.
send it to me. And also, I thought the King's Cross thing was fine, but here's the thing, and it's interesting that you bring that up, and you also bring up Lost.
Well, he just wanted you to really think that Harry was dead. And if you go
Yeah.
right to King's Cross, you don't. Anyways, you were saying
right.
and Lost.
But this has caused me to think that anytime I watch a show or a series, or I'm reading some fantasy story it's really building it up, right? Like Lost build that shit up.
Yes.
You watch all of these episodes, all these seasons of this show that you were like, where could this possibly go? How could this possibly end in a way that is satisfying? And
Never going to be satisfying to everybody. That's just a fact.
that's true. And I remember thinking and sometimes I think that the way that artists end up getting to the death part is a little I feel like no one really knows what to do, and they make something up. And again, it doesn't resonate with everybody, but somehow it seemed to make sense to them. The Harry Potter thing with, going to this weird place that's like an in-between place that you're, as a reader, you're like, well, what's that? you know?
Right.
And whose interpretation of death is that? And why does that have to be the thing that we just go with?
Well, like you said, it's how the artist is connecting to it, and so that's how they put it out there.
To me, no one's ever gotten it, except in Sandman. I do think that was it's one way of looking at death, but it's the kindest and the most beautiful. Well, to be fair, I've only watched the show. I haven't read the story.
No,
read the
I mean,
comic.
and I've listened to the comics, and death is a good representation of what death is in the comics. I will say, did you ever see the movie Defending Your Life by Albert Brooks? Albert
No.
Brooks, Meryl Streep.
No.
You gotta watch that movie.
Okay.
That does the afterlife in a way that is very, very entertaining. And if that was the way it was, I'd be all right with that. I'd be
Okay.
all right with Defending Your Life. I mean, part of it is like total bullshit. But we wanted to have this discussion, and maybe we really are talking about like artist's interpretation and the fictionalization of death, obviously, because we don't have any clue of what happens. You know, the great unknown, the undiscovered country, as Shakespeare puts it. So we wanted to talk about the Sandman's death, and so here's what the AI says about it. Death is one of the endless. A family of one of the endless, which is a family of cosmic.
Cosmic.
Should I just start again, or
No,
should
it's
I?
okay. Just keep
Thank
going.
you for listening to the Last Will podcast. Just push through.
Just keep going, because if you stop, then you lose momentum.
Right, momentum. Okay, death is one of the endless, a family of cosmic beings that embody universal concepts. She is the sister of Morpheus. Morpheus is Dream. Also, brothers and sisters include Destiny, Delirium, Destruction, Desire, and Despair. In The Sandman, death is depicted as calm, compassionate, and approachable, a guide who helps souls move on with kindness rather than fear. She is portrayed as simple and elegantly dressed. Her appearance emphasizes approachability rather than menace. Her personality is warm, patient, and practical. She treats mortals with empathy and helps them to come to terms with mortality. She appears early on in the series as a comforting presence who ushers people into their afterlife and reconnects with Dream later on, blah, blah, blah. That's part of the story. We don't need any of that stuff. A theme she explores: mortality and acceptance. Death makes space for life to have meaning by guiding souls with kindness. Duty versus personality. She knows that the role of death can be compassionate and personal. Afterlife and memory. Her interactions often touch on what it means to leave behind memories and loved ones. So, yeah.
It's so not what we think death is. It's death.
Well, certainly Charles Dickens took a more aggressive approach, right?
Right, exactly. Well, because this and this is the personified version of death as a friend, as a friendly being. And you know, when you're watching this show and then you see this, there's this one episode where, you know, Morpheus and Death are walking around together, and he's just kind of accompanying her like on her rounds, and she just kind of goes up to people and is like, "Hey, like, it's time to go." And the person's like, "Wait, now?"
It's also like they don't know. They don't know that they've gone, and she's like the first thing that they see.
Well, and yes, and so the things that they are doing, and I think what I can, from my memory of this is that they are. It's kind of like sudden death. She's not like going to a nursing home and spending a couple hours there.
No, but she does with one, right? Somebody is at the end of their death.
End of their life.
Jeez.
That's a new one.
That's the good place. They're at the end of their death. She does go to a nursing home at one point.
Oh, does she? I can't remember.
She goes to a house, I
Okay.
think, and so I think so.
Well, you know, it kind of debunks the the theory or the myth or whatever, or the fear that everybody has that death is scary, and death is because we don't
A
know.
menace. Yeah.
And because we don't know what happens when you die, everyone is so terrified of it.
Yeah, well, we tend to fear the unknown.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, like, you know, if you're on a roller coaster and it like falls apart and you
Final
like
destination
that
deaths.
kind of thing, like that is scary, because before you die is this in that situation could be the scariest moments of your life. And unfortunately, there are a lot of things like that happen in our world today.
Yeah, but I don't think this character is taking away those last moments more than they're greeting them in moving on to whatever comes next.
I guess I do, yeah. And I have wondered, you know, when I watch Sandman, I'm like, okay, well, it's nice that she's kind of going around to see people, but you know, what about the roller coaster disaster, or what about the mass shooting, or what about which is not really what I wanted to bring up today, but is she there like taking everybody at once? She's like, oh, let's get the shuttle.
Well, I think she's everywhere at once. I think that's the idea, is
okay.
that she's not in just one place.
Okay.
Because
She can't be.
Right. It's impossible. But she is present in every place.
Right.
At the same time. I just like the idea, like you said, that it comes from a place of care and kindness. So often everything that we do is about reflecting your weakness and moving away from caring for each other. Like everybody should suffer if they haven't done things the way that you. I mean, so much of the world right now is you're different than me. You don't believe what I believe, and so because of that, you should suffer, which seems barbaric in every sense of the word. So to have this character doing this one thing that is inevitable, which is death, and come at it from a different perspective, not of judgment. And so often, too, we think of judgment. Look, there are religions that are based upon the service that you do on earth grants you access to something greater in the next life, you know? So there's everything about judgment going on. And so to have, again, this character that is just about peace and kindness, and it doesn't matter kind of whether you lived a pious life. I really like that.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
because everybody has to die, and it doesn't matter. I mean, if we take the religion out of it, we all have to die, and death is like not discriminating. You know, it doesn't.
Right, doesn't matter what political party you're affiliated with.
No,
death will come
really,
for everybody.
Really should, but should
Yeah.
matter. But it's really because humans have developed this concept of afterlife,
Yeah.
and because of the fear that we have of not knowing what comes next, we have, you know, there's heaven and hell. There's if you've lived a pious life, you go to heaven. If you have sinned, you go to hell. I don't really know what constitutes you going into purgatory. I'm sure that if purgatory were real, we would have a lot. Purgatory must be a very busy place.
Well, like, okay, so last fall I did this play called The Last Days of Judas Iscariot,
Right.
which is about a courtroom in purgatory. And the case that they're trying is, if Jesus died for everybody's sins, why is Judas Iscariot still in hell?
Mm-hmm.
And the courtroom takes place in purgatory, and there are people who live in purgatory.
Yeah.
And they are all waiting to either ascend or descend. And part of what they're saying, the play hinges on this idea that Judas cannot forgive himself for the sin of betraying Christ, and then the sin of committing suicide, that Jesus isn't the one keeping him in hell. It's Judas himself, because he won't forgive himself. So if there is a purgatory, there has to be some sort of test or some sort of way out.
I guess if you go with like the route of suicide, it is like if purgatory were let's say we were to say like, okay, well, if you commit suicide, you have some work to do in the afterlife, because people think that if they kill themselves, all their problems will go away. They won't be a problem anymore to the world. They will be out of their own pain.
Sorry, I just punched my microphone. It had nothing to do with what you said.
And, but if purgatory, if people who commit suicide go to purgatory, they actually have to make peace with what happened in their lives in order to find a place to move on to.
Yeah. But look, and those are all mortal
Constructs.
Yeah. And so who knows? This is what, and I think I've said this before, but this is what I believe in, and I think it's hard to argue against. Immortality exists in this. When someone we love or someone we're close to passes away, the people who are in our lives get to know that person who has passed through the person that we've become. So like, you never knew my father, but you get to know my father through the person that I am, through the father that I am, through how I conduct myself. And I think that works good and bad. Like,
and also the memories that you've shared of him.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you are your own person, and you are also, like, there's your father and then there's your mother, right?
Yep.
And their genetics created you, science and all that. And then you were born and you have electricity pulsing through your brain, and you have blood running through your veins and a heart that's pumping, and then your personality and your soul and your spirit, and that's Matt, right?
Right.
And
all of those things feel very dateable. I don't know why it seems to be a problem, but those things feel very dateable. Go on, Claire.
So your parents, and in this case your father, lives within you, but you are not him. And the way that you I've grown to understand your father in the stories that you tell about him. And that's also important, like, what type of legacy is he leaving, and what story did he decide to leave for you to tell?
Yeah.
It's kind of like in Hamilton, that it's all beautiful. It's beautifully written when they have that song at the end, which is who lives, who dies, who tells your story.
Yeah.
And and when I think about who tells your story is, like, what kind of story do you want to leave? And I try to leave a good footprint on this earth. And maybe there's some people that I've pissed off in the world, but
They write me.
They do?
Yeah, they write me all the time. I ignore them. I just like, whatever. I mean, I read them. I giggle a little bit. I do a little like, I act out the letters and stuff like that. But then I move
do
on.
Like a
don't
monologue,
worry.
like a dramatic reading.
Yes, I do.
I don't know. I don't want to know what they say. I'm not interested.
No, I'm not going to tell you. That's for me and the the coffee house I go to when I read them out loud. No, who cares if you piss them off? No, but like they're like what you're saying, I agree with, but yet there's a sadness to it, because like, what happens when no one tells your story?
Well,
like,
right. Then there's Eleanor Rigby.
Yeah. Well, and look, I Eleanor Rigby all the time to myself. I constantly think like, what impact did I have on this world? And if I'm gone, no one will really miss me. Like, it'll be 7 or 8 days of missing me, and then I will just be in the ether and disappear. And that's a little scary. Not that it should have any consequences or that it matters, but like, that's part of my fear of mortality.
So but here's the thing is, when you die, do you know if anyone's giving a shit about you?
And that should give me the solace that I need to just move forward, because I won't. I don't know if I'll know, but I'm assuming that I won't.
I mean,
my consciousness will be poofed
after like 2 hours, I think. according.
Wait, are you saying I'm going to have consciousness for 2 hours after my death?
I think that.
This is not as comforting a podcast
Oh,
as I thought it would
sorry,
be.
sorry. Not consciousness. It was subconscious. We were talking about a few weeks ago.
Right.
That
right.
I think we looked it up, and that's what lasts for another couple hours after you die.
My subconscious.
Yeah, not the consciousness. Sorry.
Feels like I have to do paperwork before I leave. Is what it is. A little bit of wasted time. No, but like I definitely have that fear. But like on the other end of it, the idea of death and mortality should ring as a reminder of like this life is precious because of that there isn't unlimited amount of time, that we don't get to do this for infinity and beyond.
Well, and a lot of our stresses today are like, okay, so back up. So animals, right? Animals are pretty simple. They're born, all they worry about is how they're going to eat and survive.
Right.
They don't have internet. They don't have cell phones. They don't have complicated relationships. They need to know where to sleep so they can survive and procreate.
Right.
Humans, we're very advanced. Rather than animals.
Braggart.
We're so much more advanced. But
we write with pens and pencils.
we have thumbs. Because of all that we have access to, we have the ability to like overcomplicate life, you know?
Oh, no doubt.
And so we are also like, survival is almost, yes, it's something that we all are concerned with, but it's become a lot easier to survive lately, I think. Because people can actually live in squalor and still live for a really long time. But we're obsessed with how to make life better, you know, how to do everything before it's over. And
yeah.
And and like how to have the best food and how to like go travel to all of these places and meet all the people and have lots of jobs. Or, I mean, jobs are a different story, but we're kind of obsessed with living so that when we die, we feel like we lived fully.
Right.
Not everybody feels this way, but like I kind of feel this way. Like I've shared before that like I'm of the age where if I became pregnant, the doctors would call me geriatric. Like it's called a geriatric pregnancy if you're over 35.
Right.
If you're a female over 35.
Just labels, Claire. It's just labels.
I know. And a lot of women my age and my friends are super bummed out when they have this because they actually feel like it's the right time for them to have a child. But then they go to the doctor and it's like high risk. So, and, you know, I don't really believe in that anymore. I feel like our life expectancy is longer. Women are doing great. We're trying. And like, you know, can you just extend that geriatric to like 45, please? So, you know, but I don't feel ready to have a child right now. I would like another 10 to 20 years and then have a child.
Right.
And so, because I feel like I still have a lot of single Claire life left in me to experience before, because I kind of think that if I have a child, like it'll all stop, like everything will stop. I feel like
I mean, as a parent, I would say, yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah,
Everything stops.
I don't want stuff
I
to
haven't
stop.
had fun probably 17 years. You know, if I think about how old the kids are, hasn't been one lick of fun. No, you know, look, the kids are fun. It's different fun. You have to figure out a way to balance all of that. But I get it. I get that there's the clock, right? That says we have to do things by a certain time. We have to, life is short. Eat dessert first. You know, that type of mentality. Yeah, that was my father. That was the name of first production company. Was called Dessert First Productions because my father was a dessert first person. He liked to eat dessert.
You might have told me that at some point, but now
I think
it's ringing a little different today.
Well, yeah, because of the whole topic.
I love dessert.
Well, we started to, and for Thanksgiving, have all the pies first.
Really?
Yeah, like at 10, it was pie time. And because we would have this big
10
meal.
a.m.?
Yeah, 10 a.m. We would have this big meal and then want to get to the pie right away, but really couldn't enjoy it. So it's like, eat the pies at 10 and then,
Have dinner at 2.
Yeah,
And then have more pie?
exactly.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, pie. It's like pie sandwich. And it was I definitely, when I got married, I married into a pie family. It was not a cake family. It was not a dessert family.
It's a pie family.
It was a pie family.
Pies are great.
Yeah, no, they shifted me. They made me
Wow.
like pies in a way that I hadn't before. But yeah, so we
I have to tell my mom this because
eat pies first.
I have this thing about on Thanksgiving or other major holidays where I know what the dessert's going to be. You're
Yes.
having an issue with that water bottle.
For some reason, yes, it is dripping all over me. I drink and drip.
The pies that my mom makes for Thanksgiving are their pumpkin pies, and they're really good. And I always feel like the Thanksgiving meal is really heavy, and I feel really full after eating it for just a short period of time.
Yeah.
But I also have to make sure that I have room for dessert because that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Like I'm only eating dinner because like I'm supposed to.
Right.
I'm supposed to have these nutrients.
So why not start with the joy, and then you just eat whatever you want? It's not you don't have
it's
to.
breakfast. It's
Yeah.
pie for breakfast, which isn't that bad for you. I mean,
No.
have your pie and then have like a bowl of fruit too.
But look, you're not doing it 365 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it once a year for this silly holiday, and so might as well like get all the good stuff in. Yeah, you got to flip it on its head.
Wow.
That is one of the pinnacles to living your life.
To the fullest.
Viva la vida.
Viva la vida.
Yeah, but no, I get it. Life's short. That's a concept that I have in my head often. And so when I think about things that haven't worked out in my life, it's weird to get hung up in the things that separate us when life is short. And if there is connection, shouldn't you like be exploring those connections? That is something that's hard for me to reconcile, and then thus hard for me to move on, and then becomes the irony because I am obsessed with not moving on and then not moving forward and taking advantage of the fact that life is short. So look at that. Did that make any sense? It did to me.
Yeah, I mean, life is also a complicated paradox. Well, what paradox is not complicated? But, because, yeah, and as you and I had this conversation last night, not last night, a couple nights ago. It was like probably 4 nights ago. And I have
It's true. Yeah.
about how you and I are in different places as far as like romance
In our life.
yeah, and like what
goes.
we want to do, and I'm afraid to go out and find something because I'm just I'm exhausted and I'm afraid of getting hurt and I'm sad, and being single is so I don't have to worry about anyone, and it's so nice. Actually,
You can eat dessert first if you
and
want.
I can fucking eat dessert first, and kick everyone out of my apartment if I don't want them in there. You
Right.
know,
Get out.
but and then you're like the opposite, where you're like I don't.
I have an open door policy.
The pain is welcome, and but you're also like, and what I had kind of taken from that conversation is that despite the hardship and disappointment that you have experienced, you are going for it still. You are still going for it, which I actually think is kind of healthy. Despite maybe some unhealthy habits that you might have.
What? How dare you?
Because you're like still putting yourself out there. And right now I'm like, I don't want anyone to see me right now.
Right.
And I just want somebody to help me clean and cook and maybe offer some money.
We should put together a dating app just for those things. Because I think there's probably more people like you that are like, I'd like someone to help cook, clean, and offer some money.
I don't know if I want to see them though. Can they just be
and can they have a blurred face?
Well,
Can we pixelate their face?
more like no, I don't want to see them like in real life. Like I don't like maybe
You want them to come when you're at work.
Yeah, I want them. Maybe I just want a maid.
You want a maid. That's what you
but
want. There are
a
websites
dude.
for that.
It could be a dude too. You know, it doesn't have to be.
But what does it
gender
matter if you're not
specific.
there?
Yeah, I mean,
you want
I like.
pictures of them while they're doing it.
No, I just want someone to come clean
Shirtless.
my apartment. I want someone to prepare food for me because
Yeah.
I have a really restrictive diet at the moment, and it's it's complicated for me to figure out what to eat.
Right,
so
right.
I'm like, I keep putting it off because I like just don't want to deal with it. And so there are people out there who are like chefs who
Yeah.
understand how food works.
Yeah, they do.
And if I had somebody who just made my food and gave it to me and said, here's what you're going to eat today based on what you like,
You want to date a healthy chef.
I don't think I even want to
it's
date
not-
them.
No, but you may have to call it that. You know, even
But I
though
don't
you're
want to
living.
give them anything.
You're right. Claire, I don't think you're ready for dating. when I listen to you talk like this, I don't think you're ready for dating.
I just want someone to give me a little extra money like every month so I can afford things
Right.
that like I can't.
And I'd want someone to tolerate the mess, not cook anything for me, and we could just make out every once in a while. That would be perfect for me.
That actually does sound. That sounds like dating. That's way more appropriate than what I was proposing.
Yes. Like I will do some of that. Like I am capable of doing a lot of that shit, even though I don't like it, for somebody that I like. Like
Yeah.
I like this last time around. Like I went out and I did things
Mm-hmm.
and I explored things and I left the apartment and I found creativity and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I will do something healthy for someone else in my life, and yet I can't figure out how to do it for myself.
Yeah, that again.
I gotta
that's one
date
of-
myself.
I
That's
know
really what it
that.
is.
Well, that's kind of what mentally healthy people, and then therapists try to help people to do is
Right.
like love yourself before you end up loving somebody else.
Right. Well, I don't have to see myself. That's probably the bonus. If I had to see myself, I'd be like, nah, I don't want to
Well,
date him.
it's also again, it's one of those paradoxes where you like when I go to other people's houses, I have a desire to clean and tidy. I do not have the desire to do the same at my place. I'm getting better because
Yeah.
I really have full autonomy over my own place right now, and I don't love the mess. But like when I was living at my parents' house, I really I just had
Your tolerance for it was high.
it was a little more complicated, but like when my mom when I had to clean at the house, I really didn't want to do it. Like I just felt emotionally heavy, physically heavy. But if I went to somebody
It was
else's
like
house,
it was like a generational rejection of
Maybe.
chores.
but yeah, something like that. But like if I spend time at my sister's house, like I would happily help her
Right.
do things. And I also every now and then I would offer, and because I didn't want to watch her do it all.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm here and I can do things. Like, why don't I help you? And I also think maybe because she wasn't asking.
Yeah.
But I was, and maybe I would see something like needed tidying, and I would like tidy it up or something. So, I've been known to do this at other people's houses, and
I've seen you eyeing this place.
I always say like, don't tell my mom.
Yeah.
please.
Oh, well, I won't. I told your dad, but not your mom.
Yeah, he
Because
doesn't care.
he'll keep that secret.
probably forget it, too.
Interesting. Not interesting, but like
But we tend to, and you and I don't know if everybody else is like this, but like I will go the extra mile for somebody else.
yes, absolutely.
But I will not, like I got, my birthday makes me a little uncomfortable. I love getting presents, but I also had a hard time, kind of orchestrating like, hey, what do you want to do for your birthday? I'm like, nothing.
Yeah.
But when it came to like my mom's birthday, which was this past week, I was like really excited for going a little up like the extra mile for a couple of things for her.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's her birthday. Like I want her to feel special.
Absolutely.
But I almost like reject it when people want to do that for me.
I think I know a little bit about why that is, though, because we want to feel seen and taken care of by the people who say they care for us, and so we want them to kind of plan it and take it on, and that feels like the gift. And when they don't, it feels like a rejection.
Right.
And so I shouldn't have to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
I used to feel that way about therapy in a lot of ways. Like, I got all these friends. I should be able to just tell my friends this. I don't need a professional.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? My friends don't really give a fuck.
Well, also
You know?
friends like aren't qualified.
They're not.
Not at all.
And I think I give good advice.
I might be qualified, but I don't
Yeah,
have a
I mean
degree.
the others.
Yeah.
That's why I only come to you for advice.
Anyway,
And in my phone it says therapist Claire on there. Interesting though, what I was going to say is how do we turn death into dating? I just figured I know how to get any.
They both start with D.
Anything to that. Why isn't there an endless on dating? There should be one of the endless in the family
my
on dating.
God. It's funny, like when in this last episode or this last season, they talked about their brother. And I was trying to figure out like who, before I knew it was destruction, I was like, who is it? You know, what's the other endless thing that starts with a D? Because they all start with D.
Yeah, D.
Destiny, despair, desire, dream, death, and destruction. And actually, before I thought it was doom. Before,
Doom. Yeah, destiny, delirium, destruction, desire, despair.
and delirium wasn't. But before she was delirium, she was something else.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know.
But anyway, back to death. So, I guess the thing that I like about the Sandman's personification of death is that it's comforting.
Yeah.
Because one of like in my life, I've experienced like death is hard. Like as a person who continues to live, to watch other people and other things die, it's very hard to work through that, and it changes you. It changes your perspective on life. And as a mortal, still living, and sometimes overwhelmed with grief, I need to figure out how to keep my head above water when I'm faced with death. So for instance, like, I mean, it's not, I haven't experienced like major, like deaths of close people in my life like you have. So my parents are still here. My sister is still here. My close friend, my very near family is still with us. The biggest deaths that I've experienced are with pets, which is incredibly painful. And there was a friend of mine who passed away 2016, so 9 years ago, and she was 25. She had cancer, and
Rough. That is rough.
And that was like the most fucking unfair thing to watch happen.
Yeah.
Especially since she had only entered my life less than a year prior, and I felt so blessed to have met her. And you know, when you like create a new friendship with somebody, it's like really fun, and you're learning about them, and you guys do fun things together, and you make each other laugh, and it's like so great. And then like to have that, it felt like a light broke.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fair.
It's interesting too that like when we think about death, it's the people left behind that are suffering may not be the right word, but have to deal with it. Obviously, when you die, we assume that the consciousness it disappears, and you don't know what kind of things that you're leaving behind. But like the wake in which death happens is really hard to deal with. I found, it was my father's birthday, August 9th. His social security number is 7. I won't give out that. I won't give out his social security number. That's probably a bad idea.
What are people going to do with that? What can you do with that now?
I obviously register to vote.
Does somebody
With all of the the Democratic votes that are from dead people? I mean, it's overwhelming.
Does a social security number get reassigned?
No,
somebody dies?
I don't know. I'm not an expert at all.
All right, we'll get back to you guys on
what
that.
I was going to say is that like the pain doesn't disappear. It just you get used to it. After a while, you learn to handle it. It's not a choice. But those things can be devastating. Certainly in the narrative of my story, my father disappearing my sister disappearing, those are just words I'm using for
Mhm.
death, are a huge part of my narrative. And I wish it was different. I wish it was a more motivating thing. But to get back to this whole idea, it really is comforting to think that if a personification of death exists, that it would exist from a place of kindness,
Yeah.
that they would be an open hand and a warm voice,
Sure.
a comforting voice to kind of take them on to whatever is next. Look, I'm working on Our Town at this moment. Like I'm in a production of Our Town, and so death is a huge part of that.
Oh.
And what happens. And part of the idea in that play is that people who pass are less interested in the living, and eventually they will go on to another place, and they're just waiting for that thing to kind of take them away. They hold on to earth for a little bit, but then they fade. And the idea of holding on to death or holding on to your life after death is painful. And then we go back to this other play that I did, Eurydice, where we talked about the idea of memory being a mercy in terms of death, like forgetting being the mercy, because when we're still connected to these things, that's where the pain lies. So I don't know what I'm fucking saying anymore.
Well,
I don't know.
I
Claire.
would like to know.
This was not the plan for this episode.
We don't never have a plan.
Well, there was a little bit of a plan.
Well, I
It
would
was
like.
to be a comfort.
I would like
I
to
don't
know.
that there's comfort in any of it.
I would like to know.
love you.
I think that like all of the stuff that we're. I mean, I feel like the topic of death it's complicated, and because we talked about a
Nailed
lot
it.
today,
Yes.
but I also am curious to hear from you
About Lost? Okay. I'll get into Lost now. No
about
problem.
how have you like what were the things that in your like in the immediate wake of the loss that you've experienced from your father and your sister,
Yes.
how did you cope? It's cope. You have to cope with life, like in
Yeah.
the 2 weeks after, like in the immediate moments after, like was there a lot of tears, and then did you also experience like any type of spiritual uplift or not, or how did you keep yourself afloat while you're dealing with this massive grief?
I think I drowned. I really do. I absolutely drowned. The moment of the death was painful because his father was there, and his father. There were two things that happened at the
Your
actual-
grandfather.
My grandfather. Yeah. Well, whatever. We'll call him.
Yeah, we don't learn.
We'll call him Milton.
Ew, it's a terrible.
Milty. Well, they called him Jack, really, but his name was Milton.
What? That's my dad's name.
Yes.
You
but
only get Jack from John. You don't get
No.
Jack from Milton.
I know, but like that's what they called him. We called him Cliffy because we named him after Cliff Clavin.
Because you wanted to shove him off a cliff?
No, because he had all of these like he always would hit us with facts that no one cared about, and that was like the character of Cliff Clavin on Cheers. So we called him Cliffy a lot of the time. He let out a moan and a scream and yelled for my father to like not go in the moment. And I don't know that I ever forgave him for that, because he could feel my father going, and then my grandfather would like kind of jar him out of that, like letting go. And we knew that he was in pain just by the huge labored breathing,
Right.
which he had been doing for 12 hours. Imagine 12 hours of like hard labored breathing. Fucking sucked. And so he was very selfish in that moment. And so that is a reminder to me. And then when he passed, my mother made a noise that I've never heard before in my life. And that haunts me in a lot of
Ooh.
ways that, I can't shake. And then, of course, we had stomach problems. I don't know if this happens with everybody, but, he had passed, and then he had like vomited up all of this like bile and stuff like that. So it felt like he was possessed. So the actual act.
He died and then vomited?
Yeah, like it came, like it like this bile just came out of his
Oh.
mouth. And so the actual moment of death was not spiritual or any of that stuff. It was visually and auditorily traumatic and shit. And I fucking, left. Like I walked out, went outside. My friend Eric was with us because he was part of the family, and we went and had a catch. There was no more father-son thing that I felt like we could do. So we literally grabbed our baseball gloves and a ball and had a catch outside because we couldn't talk to each other. The words weren't for it. It's the first time that we had ever experienced anything like that, for sure. It was traumatic in every way. There wasn't the relief that I thought I'd feel because he was in such pain. It was a very short, like he had been sick for a while, but he wasn't didn't feel like death's door was right there. So it happened quick in that sense. That moment stood with me for a long time. And, my sister and I didn't always see eye to eye. And so her dealing with it loudly made me deal with it very quietly. And so I would not show vulnerability. I was very determined to not be vulnerable because I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe anywhere being vulnerable. So I just stayed up. I think I've said it on the podcast too. I forgot how to swallow food for what felt like a year and a half. I just thought I was going to choke on everything. Anytime I was a passenger in a car, I was so tense, death. I saved every spider and every bug for 6 months in the house because, I was thinking if they got resurrected or, reincarnation is what I was thinking.
Right.
What if they were in a bug and stuff like that? I didn't deal with it well. I didn't talk to anybody. They tried to get me into therapy. I thought I'd be okay. I lost a lot of weight because I couldn't figure out what to do. I had just left the first professional acting job that I ever had in the city as an improviser, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I'd go back and forth from Connecticut to New York, and I got a dog, and then the dog didn't want to stay there in the city, so I moved back to Connecticut and really started to teach. But I went to therapy for 3 or 4 sessions and then stopped, and then went back to therapy. 3 or 4 different doctors, just stopped and just couldn't get behind it. And I didn't know how to reach out to any of my friends, and none of my friends really reached out to me. And so it was pretty fucking lonely. I don't know that I thrived in any way.
Well, sounds like you did, and it's a really fucking depressing story, to be honest. So
fucking nailed it. I mean, but that's why I started this whole thing, because I really do think I made every mistake that you could make.
No,
I can help people.
I don't think it was I don't think it's a mistake. I mean, you just described pain in its rawest form as how
I didn't even talk about my sister.
I know, and that came at a much later part of your life too.
It was about 14 years. No, 16 years afterwards. Flanders the dog was 14 years. And then that was fucking rough. Because that was
the dog?
Yeah, well, because I got Flanders after...
Your dad died?
Yeah, and so when Flanders went, it was oh, he's been gone for a lifetime now. And so Flanders was very wrapped up in the grief.
Oh, wow.
And so that was rough. And Flanders died of cancer as well.
I am so afraid to drown like you did, that I try to keep myself afloat. And I'm just thinking about I have a pretty strong spiritual. I mean, I was raised with a religion, and so I
was too. Jeez.
Well,
I know, savages, the Jews. I get it.
The tidbits that I learned about death when I was raised in this religion were kind of weird, because there was this teaching about death, which was there is no death. And I had a really hard time with that because I'm like, how can you look at me and say that there's no death when my cat just got run over in the street last night?
What?
Yeah. No, I mean, this didn't happen today, but like when I was 13 years old, you know, I remember going
Still
to
traumatic.
Sunday school the next morning and like the teacher was like, you know, there is no death or whatever. And I'm like, I can't, that's not comforting to
Right.
me. So I've had to really develop some type of something to comfort myself over the years when it comes to death. I have a couple of go-to things.
Can I just say, though, I feel like the Sunday school teachers aren't qualified to do the job that they're being asked to do.
It's hard.
They're volunteers, though, aren't they, for the most part?
I was a naughty student in Sunday school.
I was at Hebrew school. I was naughtier. Certainly not naughty. Naughty. No, I was definitely less disciplined at Hebrew school
I
than
didn't
I was
want
at
to be
regular
there
school.
1 second.
Yeah, yeah.
Good Lord, it was the longest hour of my life.
But again, I don't think they're qualified. Continue.
I guess. I mean, some people, like when you're become a practitioner in Christian Science, they are qualified to help you use prayer to move through stuff in your life. But anyway, I don't think it works for everything. Like certainly cancer might not work, but when it comes to death and grief, there's a couple things that I go to that and even now that I'm not a practicing Christian Scientist, like I kind of have to dust off the books. And when I'm faced with death, I'm like, okay, like let me tap back into my spirituality here to help me get through this because I'm afraid of where I'll go.
Yeah.
You know, when my friend passed away about almost 10 years ago at this point, you know, I spent the whole week after her death crying. And then at some point, you know, and I kind of just gave myself the time to go through it. It's a little bit more complicated than that. But then I remember after about 7 days, I was like, I can't cry every day anymore because it's making me tired and I need to like work. You know, I need to like, I can't just go through my every single day being exhausted. I need to move on from this.
Oh, you can. I've done it. Believe me. It's not
I don't like
hard.
it. I don't
Oh,
like
it sucks, but like
Yeah.
again, you get used
But I
to it.
kind of snapped out of it. I was like, all right, I have to stop now. We're gonna actively
Yeah.
try to not do this.
Well, I got to say, that's why the Jews have kind of figured it out. It's 7 days of Shiva. Sitting Shiva is a very healthy way to deal with the beginning of grief. Because here's the thing, too. Like, you're talking about the first week. I'm talking about Shiva. Like, the real difficulty is 3 months, you know,
Yeah.
where everybody's gone. No one is like, hey, your dad was a great person or this person was wonderful. No one's thinking of bringing up the memories because everybody's thought process is if I bring them up, it's just going to make you sad and I don't want to make you sad. But like at 3 months, you like need to know like this was still really a big deal and that just because the world has continued to turn doesn't mean that you have been able to move forward
Yeah.
or that you don't feel the same amount of grief that you did on the first day because you do, you know, and you will for a while. Again, it doesn't lessen it, you just get used to it after a while. But like 3 months, 6 months, no one's like talking to you. Everybody's like afraid of what to say. I don't know what to say. So they say nothing, but that's like when you need the most support. You know, I also, this is what I'll say too. I said all of this horrible stuff, but like the good memories were not hard to find within the first couple of weeks. Like they were all there. I remembered all of the good stuff. You know, I mean, some of the bad stuff because he had been sick and all dealing with cancer has just those memories and things. But like when that started to slip away, when no one was around talking about him, when there wasn't a celebration of his life, that's when it became really, really difficult. But anyway, I'm sorry, finish what you're saying, but like we're at the end of our time, if you could believe that.
Are we really?
Yeah, we've gone 1 hour and 4, and I have a hard out. So
You do?
I do.
Oh yeah, you have 2 rehearsals today.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe we should come up with a new maybe we should, since you're now becoming viral on TikTok.
Oh, thanks.
We had to mention that. Maybe we should start a new concept of death and start making it let's like start manipulating humanity and start to convince people that death is something else.
Okay, even though you're whispering it, it's still into a microphone. So that's good. No, I'm all for that. Look, I do think like in a lot
Like
of ways,
death
Claire,
is a bunch of cheeseburgers. I don't know.
is it too many cheeseburgers or is it just enough cheeseburgers?
Maybe just enough.
Yeah, it's
But
smash
too
burgers?
many cheeseburgers is like not. No one wants that.
Yeah, that's grief.
But like so many cheeseburgers and like nothing happens to your stomach. You know, like there's no weight
Yes.
gain, there's no stomach aches. Like think of like, you know, let's just like get rid of the construct of death that humans have created for the last several thousands of years, and let's just fucking make up something different.
Well, here's the thing too. I believe that our Western culture doesn't do it as well as a lot of the Eastern cultures. A lot of the Eastern cultures handle death in a way that is spiritual and uplifting.
Is it culture though, or is it religion? I mean,
I think
feel
it's,
like
I think it's culture,
okay.
but I could be wrong.
Well-
but I think we should workshop this, Claire. I think the
Okay.
whole idea of this stupid fucking podcast, it has been to do that. Seriously, you know?
Okay.
It's been our MO, whether we could articulate it or not. So let's get on that for
All right.
sure.
Well, clearly Matt has to go, so
Oh, jeez.
I guess we gotta wrap this up.
It's been an hour and 6 minutes.
Do you have a computer sitting on top of another computer?
I do.
I don't think that's good for the computers.
Let's hope. Let's hope you're wrong.
Hope. All right. Well, thanks for listening. I have to go.
Oh, well, yeah. Thank you for listening. I have to go.
Bye.
Bye. So that didn't go as I thought it would. I'm not sure what I thought it would be, but I didn't think it would be that. I didn't think we'd start the way that we were going to start. But because we were talking about the Sandman, I felt like it was irresponsible to not talk about the author and all of the bad shit that was around them, which you can obviously look up. I don't want to go into the details, but it's not good. It's very not good. But this piece of art was really moved us. So it kind of gave us a starting off point. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that discussion on death. I could really talk about it a lot more. Obviously, I've had my own experiences, and they have shaped who I am. But in the end, if I can help someone feel a little more seen in their struggles and know that the thoughts that they're having aren't, that they aren't alone in those thoughts, that other people have had those thoughts, and it doesn't mean that they're not specific to them, but some of the darkness is common ground, and so just helping people try to feel less alone in whatever the struggle is. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Last Will podcast. If you like what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe. We can be found on Instagram at The Last Will Podcast. You can write us at thelastwillpodcast.com, or you can reach out to me, Matt Young, at The Last Will Podcast. Thank you for listening, and as always, onward, forward,